So there's a new prime minister in the UK. Her name is Liz Truss. I wasn't even aware of this. Did you know? I wasn't aware that they had a new UK prime minister until she said this crazy thing she's going to say. So she's told it at a town hall. This is watch they ask her.
You'll be ushered into a room very privately at number 10. Will be laid out in front of you what are called the letters of last resort, your orders to our Trident boat captain on whether you, Prime Minister Liz Truss, is giving the order to unleash our nuclear weapons. It would mean global annihilation. I won't ask you, would you press the button? You will say yes. But faced with that task, I would feel physically sick. How does that thought make you feel?
So he's not asking her if she would start a nuclear war and end human civilization, because he knows she'll say yes. And you know what? I've always said if a woman ran the world, there would be no more war because we'd already be dead from a nuclear holocaust.
You got to show you're strong.
You got to show
as
you're
a woman,
strong.
She has to be twice as vicious as a male psychopath.
But his question isn't, would you end the entire human race by starting a nuclear war? His question is, how would you feel about it?
Well, I think they're all getting ahead of themselves. This is England, okay? If there's a nuclear war, much more important countries will have been killing us all off. We'll all be dead before they even get a chance to think about their button.
I agree.
But England's going to decide that.
England's going to start the nuclear war?
Valid point she could have brought up to this weird tan walrus man.
Yeah.
I know you.
I think it's an important duty of the Prime Minister. I'm ready to do that.
He didn't ask you that.
He didn't ask if you were ready to do it. He said he knew you would do it. He wanted to know how you felt. But she says, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start a nuclear war. And that's the kind of thing that gets applause now, I guess, on the UK TV.
I don't understand one part of this question.
How would you feel? That's the important thing here. How she would feel. Not good. Hey, here's a better question. Who gives a shit how she would feel? You know, the button pressing's kind of the important part there. Not so much the poem that you're going to recite as a tear goes down your cheek after you just annihilated the human race. That's not the real important part.
Now I am become the breaking the glass ceiling.
What? And she didn't even say, what do you mean you know I'd press it? You don't know me. Why did you say that?
I'd be offended that guy said that to me.
Yep. So, by the way, they already hate her.
I told you she's the chick from Michael Clayton. If anybody saw it, she's that character.
How good or bad? I saw it and I can't remember the chick. How good or bad a prime minister do you think Liz Truss would be? Great. Only 2% of the people say she would. Look how many good 10, average 20. So that's 32 people think she'd be average or better. 32%. The rest of them think she'd be poor, terrible, or I don't know.
The biggest thing should have been, I don't know who that is. Should have been the number one answer.
Jesus Christ, look how many people think she's terrible. Those are Moderna enlarged heart and males under 40 numbers. I mean, those are big numbers.
That's the same pie difference. Remember that in that chart?
Yes.
Like it was...
Yeah, we should have showed that chart about. So, oh my God, she's only gone and done it. Liz Truss has put fossil fuel-loving, deregulation-obsessed Jacob Rees-Mogg in charge of both energy and climate crisis. He is not a serious person. This is not a serious government. Can only hope he wakes up in time to recognize the scale of the emergency. So, what do you mean he's not serious? Does that look like an unserious guy to you? I guess you got a point. Jesus, look at him. He looks like he just took a rip off a 3-foot bong. Is the world ending? Whatever, brah. Let me hit that bong.
He's all tuckered out.
Somebody said that this was a picture of the prime minister.
No, that's the new health person, right?
Is that the new health person?
Yeah, it's got to be, because I just watched a thing today where she's like, well, I'm not saying I'm a role model for health, but I can administer.
Is that the health minister, the new health minister?
It's got to be who that is. That can't be Liz Truss.
Somebody put that. I thought somebody put that up on Twitter, and I grabbed it, and they said, "Hey, maybe they said here's the new health minister," and I misread it.
I mean, maybe it's neither of them, but I think that's who it is.
Look up who the new health minister is in the EU. I
hope that is the health minister.
It would be funnier if it's the health minister.
I mean, I'm rooting for her.
Me too.
Looks a lot cooler than Liz Truss, I can tell you that. Looks like she's not going to lock you down with a mask on.
Hey, Siri, who's the new health
Therese
minister
Coffey?
in the UK?
Therese Coffey?
Therese Coffey? Oh, wait, someone's calling me. Here you want? I can't take it. What's her name?
Therese Coffey?
Does that look like her?
It does.
And she's the new health minister?
Yeah, Therese Coffey.
Nice.
Therese Coffey. Drink a little bubbly, having a cigar, and spilling some. Spilling some on her.
What? You like someone's telling, hey, you spilled something. You're like, what?
This guy, Rachel says, Liz Truss being prime minister is like when Apple made everyone have the U2 album they didn't want in their iTunes library. Yeah, I guess, except that album made me want to die in a nuclear holocaust. A little different. Liz Truss appoints Matthew Sinclair a director of Deloitte, a director at Deloitte. And by the way, do you know Liz Truss used to work for Shell?
Yeah.
So she used to work for Shell Oil. Now she's the PM.
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be any more wars for oil, do you? Liz Truss appoints Matthew Sinclair, a director at Deloitte and former head of the Taxpayers Alliance, as chief economic advisor. Expect decimation of public services, tax cuts for the rich, low public sector wages, deeper poverty and inequalities, recession and unrest looms. This sounds like every politician I know.
No.
Except for maybe Jeremy Corbyn and Bernie Sanders, except Bernie Sanders goes along with that stuff if you look at him cross.
Did you see the stuff of Liz Truss? Because I looked her up, because I never heard of her before.
I never heard of her before.
And so she was a foreign minister, and the Russian foreign minister, like, they get on the phone, and he asked her if she supported Russia's claims. I can't remember. It's like the Nastanov or, some Rush. And she goes, no, the UK will not ready. And those are cities in Russia. He was just testing to see if she knows anything, and she didn't. And then the ambassador had to go, oh, those are actually Russian cities. So now Russia just mocks her nonstop. Like, they just think she's a complete idiot.
They asked her, what was the question they asked her?
Do you support Russia's claims to these two cities?
Oh, Russia's claims?
And they're Russian cities, where the guy was screwing with her. And she said, of course, the UK doesn't. And then now they make fun of her all the time for not knowing geography.
I got you. Energy giants like Shell are expected to make 170, is that, I don't know, billion? Is that billion?
Wow.
In the next 2 years. That's billion?
Well, you never really see it with all the zeros. Usually just write billion.
Yeah, they just write it. But Liz Truss says no to a windfall tax on their vast hoarded wealth. So she's from Shell. They're making windfall profits. She's not going to tax them. Remember the next time they tell you we can't afford to feed kids or keep the elderly warm.
They've completely colonized Nigeria, Shell. Shell has completely taken over Nigeria.
Yeah.
It's run by the Shell Corporation now.
When here's an MP in the UK, she says when Liz Truss rejects a windfall tax on 170 billion profits from oil and gas giants are expected to make, it's worth remembering she's a former Shell employee whose party has taken more than 1.5 million in donations from the oil and gas industry since the last election.
You should have held out for more. Look at those zeros compared to those zeros.
Yeah.
They want you to just drop a zero onto that, pal.
They got more money than that.
Yeah.
They got way more money than that.
1.5. That's the most galling thing, is how cheaply bought they are.
Okay. There's your new prime minister. Yeah, let's start a nuclear war. And they said Trump was crazy.
Boy, I yearn for the statesmanship of Kamala Harris watching her. A nice chuckle. That's where a chuckle would have been appropriate.
Yes. Hey, come catch one of our live stand-up shows. We'll be in Spokane, Tacoma, Virginia Beach, Richmond, Arlington, San Jose, Miami, West Palm Beach. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets and become a premium member while you're there.